So here we are at the end of the opening weekend for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, the finale in the sequel trilogy, the finale of the Skywalker saga, and a culmination of 42 years of incredible films and incredible storytelling, memorable characters, awesome locations, and a fandom that has spanned half a generation. And that is just super cool. I am very happy with where things are right now in regards to Star Wars, and I think a lot of you are too. In fact, this video, quite frankly, is kind of a call to arms for people who are happy with where things are right now. I want you guys to comment. I want you guys to leave your thoughts and your opinions, good or bad. I really think a lot of you are going to finally be able to find a space to come out and just geek out a little bit about Star Wars, and that's the whole point of this video. I want to try to inject a little bit of positivity into the extremely negative algorithm when it comes to dealing with a galaxy far away. But when I look at where we are with Star Wars right now, it's not just one particular thing. All right. It is a multitude of different things. And that's actually probably the coolest factor of the Disney machine, right? Love it or hate it. And usually I kind of hate it. I'll be fair. I kind of not a huge fan of how Disney pushes synergy on everything and how they want it all to work out. But they know for a fact what they want to do in order to, or what they have to do really, in order to make a lot of money. And right now they're hitting they're really doing well, and it's going to pay off for them long run, I believe, in 2020 and definitely further into 2021 and all the way to the end of 2022 when we get the next movie. Actually, I'll tell you this right now. I'm excited for that next movie in December 2022. My daughter, my oldest daughter, will be 5 years old at that point in time, and she'll be old enough for me to take her to a Star Wars movie. So I get to take my 5-year-old daughter, or I will in a couple years, get to take her to see Star Wars of whatever the new trilogy or the new series, the new anthology, whatever it is they're going to be doing. I get to experience that with her in 3 years, which is something kind of dumb to get excited over. But I'm just kind of thinking, like, when I was a kid and I was watching Star Wars, and I remember like going to the video store and renting the movies and going and watching them with my grandparents and like loving them and growing up watching them multiple times, or how I felt going into the special editions, or more importantly, how I felt going into the Phantom Menace 20 years ago when I was just 17 years old. Star Wars has been a large part of my life forever, and I can't wait to share that with my daughter. Right now, we're watching the Clone Wars on Disney Plus, or I should say I'm watching the Clone Wars on Disney Plus while she plays with toys. But at the start of every episode, she hears the fanfare, she hears the music, and she starts dancing to it. And that is just like super freaking cool. I would show you guys that on video, but I've made it a strict rule to not share photos of my kids online for privacy purposes. But trust me when I say that it's adorable, and it probably would win best viral video of the year. I want you to have that in your mind as I'm describing a 2-year-old dancing like a 2-year-old does to Star Wars. And of course, getting to show her the movies, and getting the reaction to Luke, to I am your father is going to be great as well. I look forward to that. A lot of really good things in the future for Star Wars for me and my family. And that's just like, that's effing awesome. I love that. So let's think about where we are right now. There's a lot to go through. So we have the movie. Let's start with the movie. We have the movie here. The movie is good. The movie is actually surprisingly good. Yeah, plot holes aside, there's some issues with it aside. Overall, the film's a lot of fun. A lot of people have been enjoying it. Again, I invite you to go and read the comment section, which is something most people would never do, is to tell you to go read the comment section. But I'm telling you, go read the comment section on my spoiler-free review, as well as my spoiler review, or any of my other Star Wars coverage, like the video about how Star Wars Rise of Skywalker would never get a fair shake on YouTube because of the way things operate on here, and just read what people are saying about it. Read how many people are coming together and saying, I've seen this twice with my family. I love it. It's amazing. Or like, it's okay, but it satisfies me. There's a lot of positivity in Star Wars right now, and that is just so amazingly cool. And it's such a good place to be. It's a great high that I'm kind of holding on to. You know what I mean? If I could, put it in a spoon and burn it up and then inject it in my veins like a smack addict, I totally freaking would. It would be awesome to just be high on nostalgia all day, every day. Anyway, so we got the movie, and the movie's a good cap. Right. And again, there's a lot of conversation surrounding it online, but there's also a lot that you can look at in regards to the philosophy of Star Wars and apply it to what this movie is. And it's not just that too, but it's also so much in regards to like the previous films and how it ties in from even the Phantom Menace, and it weaves this narrative that takes us through all 8 films and 42 years of Star Wars. Some stuff was better explained than others, but there's a lot of little elements that are kind of peppered in the details, which from one thing I've been hearing from a number of people, and it was my also personal experience, was when I saw it a second time, I was able to pick up on those more minor details, which only then made my experience that much greater. And now I'm really kind of curious what's going to happen on my third viewing. How much am I going to pick up from that? And is that going to then enhance my experience even more? And quite frankly, there's not been many movies in the last couple years that have really done that for me. You know, I thought maybe after hating The Last Jedi right off the bat, if I went and I saw it again a couple days later, I could calm down a bit. I could walk away from it and be like, okay, it's not great, but it's serviceable, it's passable. And the movie just left me even more frustrated than it was going into it. Yeah, sure, I'm more apathetic in some aspects, and there are elements of the film and the story that I do like, especially more after watching The Rise of Skywalker, but still, when I get to that, I'm like, I can't go back to it. But then again, I've watched Solo. Like, God, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Solo. Same with The Force Awakens. So it's like, I still love the movies. I still love what they stand for and what they've done. Just The Last Jedi was such a terrible film, but I can now look at that and close that chapter, which again is something that I feel is a huge like lift off my shoulders, right? Like that, like the boulders off my shoulders on this one here, because I can then put that part of my dislike of the fandom or of the movies away, seal it up, throw it in a ditch on Mustafar, burn it, and be done with it and never have to go back to it. I do wish though that JJ would release the 3-hour cut of The Rise of Skywalker, giving us like more exposition, because there's like some stuff in the movie that I found out after the fact that I'm like, but you could have said that and that would have been like a lot better. But that being said, it is what it is, and I'm still happy with where it is. Now, the next thing I want to touch upon here, of course, is The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is the most popular television show on TV right now, going even higher than Stranger Things, which, according to Netflix's own data, the data they put out there, on the opening weekend of Stranger Things Season 3 back in July, the first weekend of July, it went and it was broadcast into 65 million homes worldwide. That is insane numbers. 65 million people watched those 8 episodes in the span of that first weekend for the most part. And it was a really good weekend. I dove right through it. But The Mandalorian is blowing up. It's not as big as that. They've only got about, I think they've got 20 million people on Disney Plus right now, which is no small number, but a lot of people are talking and a lot of people absolutely love it. They love it. And they can't wait to see where the season finale goes next week, considering the cliffhanger that they left. But I just want to say, when you look at The Mandalorian as a whole, and you look at the social media surrounding it and all the memes, like last night I went to the store and I was wearing my Yoda Santa hat, and this lady I know from there sees me and she's all like, oh no more Baby Yoda. And I'm like, what Baby Yoda is love? Baby Yoda is life. What are you talking about? Don't besmirch our savior during the holiday season. What kind of monster are you to besmirch poor little Baby Yoda? Who hurt you? You know, and she's like, I've seen it. She's a bit of a boomer. She's like, but I've seen it everywhere. She's not a fan. But the fact that there are memes being made about this show and this character, and they're being done from such a positive, loving way, shows you how this has immense popularity and immense staying power, which is one of the reasons why over the span of the next 3 years, what we're going to be seeing coming out of Disney Plus leading into the next movie is going to be good, solid television on Disney Plus. That, I think, is ultimately going to be Kathleen Kennedy's legacy. For those of you out there who want to argue that it's not her, no, she still greenlights this stuff and she still exec produced it, right? So it's like, you can't, she's still involved, okay? Fingers are in childhood thing. Okay, that's there. You can't argue with it. That is just a reality. But with The Mandalorian and soon to be, they're shooting Cassian Andor here pretty soon. They're going to be shooting Obi-Wan here very soon. They're shooting season 2 of Mandalorian. I have a feeling at Star Wars Celebration this upcoming Labor Day weekend, in Labor Day, which is a ways away, we're going to be getting the Obi-Wan trailer. We're going to be getting announcements of other shows. I've heard rumors that they're working on like a Lando Calrissian show with Donald Glover. That could be something. I've heard that they're working on, and I do on a real quick side note, I do think that's actually happening because there was that line of dialogue from the Rise of Skywalker where when they're on Pisana and they're talking about trying to find the thing. I don't want to spoil what it is if you haven't seen it. And then, Lando's there and Lando's like, hey, we did this, together. Luke and I did this together. And I have said repeatedly that one of the coolest things they could do for Disney Plus would be to continue the tradition of 5 years past the end of Return of the Jedi and give us a young Luke Skywalker show starring Sebastian Stan, because Sebastian Stan looks like a younger Mark Hamill, and I think that that'd be pretty freaking cool to do that, and then to have him team up with Donald Glover, or Donald Glover, in order to play Lando and have Luke and Lando show. I mean, come on, right now you're already thinking in your head how dope that would be. How great that would be. And then have Alden, it'd be a little bit older, maybe to have Alden Ehrenreich, but you could have Alden Ehrenreich pop up every once in a while. You could do that. You could bring Alden in, make him look a little bit older, and continue the Han Solo character post Return of the Jedi, which would be a couple years and whatnot. So there's ways that they could potentially do it. And if you think they're not going to go back to fan service, oh no, they're going back to fan service because they realize that that is still what people really like. People really, really, really like fan service. Regardless of how you may think about it, the general public enjoys it when it's done well. And in regards to The Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian, they've done it very, very, very well. Now, the other thing here too is flat out Star Wars or Jedi Fallen Order, which is just an amazing experience. It is such a fun game. It's Star Wars meets Dark Souls, or Dark Souls Light, and it just works really, really, really well. The story is fantastic. The combat's a lot of fun. It's challenging. It's entertaining. You would do a lot of exploring. It's fun. Best way I can describe it. It's just a lot of fun. And that's all happening right now. Mandalorian and Jedi Fallen Order came out in the same week, right? Now we got the movie a month later. I mean, we're in peak Star Wars territory that we've never been in. We are quite literally in the unknown regions of Star Wars fandom because we've never been in this specific situation. Then you also bring in Star Wars Resistance Season 2, and I know I catch a lot of crap for that, but that show also has its own fan base. Yes, it's definitely aimed at younger children, but this is the last season, and so it's clearly going to be building up to tying into The Rise of Skywalker, predominantly because it takes place, I think Season 2 takes place after The Last Jedi, which doesn't really seem like that big of a stretch considering The Last Jedi took place over like one day, and it was like 1 day removed from The Force Awakens, so I get it. But anyway, what we're looking at here is that show, which I think once it wraps up and it goes to Disney Plus, I think a lot of people are going to be diving into it, and it has the potentiality of really finding itself with a very strong fan base, similar to Clone Wars. Now, Clone Wars is a show I'm watching through right now in the chronological order, which is just awesome. I don't know why they didn't, I know why they didn't release it entirely like this, but it's really solid. It's really good. And it really does give me a larger, greater appreciation for the prequels, to be fair. And it makes me really love that era. And I also love what Lucas created from that era. So getting that, and then also getting season 7 of the Clone Wars coming out in early February. So just not even a month and a half from now, we get the final season of that show, which is going to be led by Dave Filoni. That's pretty cool. We've seen a little bit of that coming out of Star Wars Celebration, a lot more Ahsoka Tano. People are going to be very happy, given where Rebels ended and everything else. So, we're looking at that situation as being a positive. So what we're getting is basically October, November, December, and February of Star Wars content. In January, if you count in the Star Wars Resistance episodes, as well as also being the new Kylo Ren comic book, which is a little bit wonky in regards for how he met Snoke. And it does a little bit to retcon Kylo in regards to how crazy and violent he was. But we do know how manipulated he was. We know he's being manipulated. So it does kind of add to it a little bit. And apparently it's pretty good. And people have seemed to like it quite a bit. Those people who cover Star Wars comics have been speaking pretty favorably of it. So you have that. You've got got a bunch of other novels that are dropping, a bunch of other little things that are dropping. I mean, right now, the end of 2019 is absolutely positively the best time to be a Star Wars fan. It is. There's no argument for it, right? No matter what kind of negative Nancy runs a YouTube channel that's going to try to refute my argument here by saying like, it's terrible and it sucked and it's garbage. You know what, man? History ain't going to be kind to that argument, because we can look back on this even 20 years from now and go, man, that was a hell of a fall and a winter. That was a hell of a time, and they were giving us Star Wars left and right. Never mind Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance, which is pretty damn cool from the videos I've seen. A little bit bummed it wasn't open when I was there back in July, but still. And Galaxy's Edge is going to grow and expand over time as well. And I think that has the ability to grow into something pretty massive and pretty amazing, especially by the time the Orlando, Walt Disney World gets the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, which that's going to be an expensive one to go to. And I might have to sell a couple body parts that I find on the street in order to be able to cover that price, because that's like $3,600 for, I think, like 4 days. I don't know if that's per person or like per cabin, but my God, man. I've done cruises before, and that was expensive. This is just nuts. So, I mean, there's a lot that Disney is doing to build up Star Wars on a massive scale and to spread it across a multitude of different properties. And I think that's perfectly fine. And anyone out there who I saw argue that point about, oh, well, Lucas wouldn't have done that. No, Lucas licensed anything and everything that he could do with Star Wars. I mean, that's a running gag. You could find Star Wars branded catheters if you look hard enough, probably. And then when it comes to the EU, Lucas never cared about that, to be fair. He never really did. What he cared about was probably the money he could get, but he never really cared about it. He allowed it to exist, but to him, it was just there. It wasn't really canon. Fans loved it, and Disney now realizes that, which is why they're pulling a bit from that a little bit more. They brought back in Timothy Zahn to do Thrawn novels, which, hey, a lot of diehard EU fans that are hating the fact that it's no longer canon, they've now got new Timothy Zahn stories about Thrawn, one of their favorite characters. So they're still giving them that particular side of things. And the China situation is even weirder, but also kind of in an interesting way. And I really want to see where it plays out. So for those of you who've made it this far, and I appreciate that, just as what's going on with China, because you'll hear reports this weekend, oh, Star Wars bombs in China. Chinese people don't love Star Wars, which is true. They don't. There's no cultural connection to it. There's no societal connection to it. What we have here is a situation where China just didn't grow up with it, right? So what Disney is doing is playing a very smart angle. They're going after book readers. I'm not making this up either. They are literally going after book readers by hiring a very popular online Chinese blogger to create new Star Wars mythos based around Chinese culture and Chinese mythology, which, considering Star Wars' original kind of take on, Kurosawa films, there could be a bit of clashing in regards to the themes, but I think if done right, it can be okay. And Disney's going to be then integrating that story and other stories into the Chinese marketplace for ebooks, because check this out, and this is entirely true. There are 340 million Americans, right? There are 413 million Chinese people who read ebooks every single month. So Disney is giving away a lot of those books for free, and then they're going to be working on new China-specific stories, and the China-specific stories are going to then be used to build a grassroots fan base by the time the next movie comes out. I don't think we're going to be talking about a movie bombing in China. I think it's just going to be doing pretty damn well, because Disney now understands where they've made mistakes, and they're going to be hitting it with the ground running on a lot of different angles and making it really, really, really interesting. And also look at Battlefront 2. 2 years ago, that was one of the biggest controversies online ever. I mean, ever. The EA community manager's post on the Battlefront subreddit is still the most disliked comment of all time. But here it is, 2 years past the release of that game, and DICE hasn't let up. They're still working on it. They're still updating it. They're still providing new heroes, new skins, and new maps and new modes and everything else. And they have completely revitalized that franchise to where now you're not seeing videos about how bad Battlefront 2 is. You're seeing tons of videos coming out saying how good Battlefront 2 is, because they've cared. And that's also happening right now in the fall and the winter of 2019. They just released their new update, the Rise of the Resistance update, which which is actually pretty cool. And I was playing that the other night, and it's pretty fun. So, and again, there's still more heroes coming, more things coming. This is what they're doing. They're understanding the lack of having a plan really for the sequel trilogy, and they've recognized that, and they're now hitting it on all fronts, on all sides, and they're working to tell good stories and build up certain things and really give the fans what they want. And so if you come across YouTube videos that try to tell you that no, Star Wars is dead, Star Wars is done, it's all terrible, it's all garbage, watch this video, if you get to this point at least, and tell me that I'm wrong. I really honestly want you guys to like have listened to everything I just laid out for you and tell me that I'm wrong, because I don't think that I am. I think if you start looking at it individually and then also colloquially, you can start to see that, yeah, they've understood their mistakes, and now they're coming in and they're fixing it. Now they're coming in and they're giving people what they want Star Wars related in different areas. And that's only going to expand over time. This is clearly a money-making endeavor to Disney. And yeah, like they've effed up in a few ways, but they're now going to go back and be able to fix it. And Disney is nothing if not really good at fixing something that's broken. Unless it's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, because damn it, Disney, I go to Disneyland once every 8 years. It had to be closed that day. You sons of bitches. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. That's just my thoughts on this one, my opinions. You could be entirely different. I want to hear your thoughts. You can let me know down in the comments below. I have a Discord link in there as well. If you guys want to jump over to the Discord and chit chat with us, there'll be a little link, a little ad for it here in a minute. Please be sure to like the video, leave a comment. If you saw Rise of Skywalker and you liked Rise of Skywalker, let me know. Let me know what about it you liked and what you didn't like. I want to keep the conversation fair. Anyway, guys, have yourself a great day. Talk to you all later. May the Force be with you, and peace out. Hey, thank you very much for watching the video. If you want to keep the conversation going, and if you made it this far, you clearly do, come on in and join the Discord. Link is in the video description. Can't wait to see you there. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.